The endless expanse of space stretched before the ESV Hawking, humanity's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her weathered features reflected against the backdrop of distant stars. 20 years of Special Forces experience had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body screamed danger. Contact, bearing 340 Mark II. Lieutenant Rodriguez called from his station, his voice carrying the practiced calm of a veteran sensor operator. Profile doesn't match any known configurations in our database. Chen's hand unconsciously moved to the neural interface at the base of her skull, standard issue for Terran Special Operations Command operators. Classification: mass and energy signature suggest a capital ship, Commander. They're running dark. The bridge crew maintained their composure, but Chen could feel the tension rising. This far from Earth-controlled space, encountering unknown vessels usually meant one of two things: first contact or pirates. Neither scenario typically ended well. Signal Major Harrison and his team, Chen ordered. Full combat alert, quiet run. The words activated protocols drilled into every crew member since basic training. Throughout the ship, personnel moved with practiced efficiency to their battle stations while maintaining minimal electromagnetic emissions. Major James Harrison and his 5-person Special Operations team were already suited up in their Mickey VI combat enhancement systems when Chen's order came through. The suits, resembling sleek black exoskeletons, represented the pinnacle of human military technology, a fact they'd kept carefully hidden during their exploration mission. Status check. Harrison subvocalized through the team's secure neural network. Weapons hot. Lieutenant Maya Patel responded, her hands moving across the holographic interface of her suit's tactical systems. Tech suite online, confirmed Captain David Walsh, their electronic warfare specialist. Medical systems green, Dr. Sarah Wong added, though her role as combat medic barely scratched the surface of her capabilities. Demo pack primed. Surgeon Carlos Martinez reported with his characteristic grin. Infiltration gear ready, whispered Lieutenant Kai Chen, their stealth specialist. The unknown vessel's approach vector changed suddenly, accelerating toward the Hawking. Before Chen could issue evacuation orders, brilliant purple beams lanced out from the alien ship, striking their engines with surgical precision. Direct hit to primary and secondary propulsion. Engineering reported. They knew exactly where to hit us. Chen's mind raced through options as more shots disabled their defensive systems. This wasn't random chance. These attackers knew human ship design. The realization sent a chill down her spine. All hands, prepare for boarding action, she announced, her voice steady despite the implications. Harrison team, implement Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega was something the crew had trained for, but hoped never to use. It meant allowing themselves to be captured, but on their terms. As the alien vessel's tractor beam engaged, Harrison's team quickly accessed hidden compartments throughout the ship, activating dormant systems and planting sophisticated data-gathering devices designed to appear as simple structural components. The aliens that boarded the Hawking resembled massive armored arthropods, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the emergency lighting. They moved with military precision, but their confidence betrayed an arrogance that Harrison's team noted carefully. Primitive vessel acquired, their leader announced in surprisingly clear English, mandibles clicking. Minimal resistance encountered. These humans are even less advanced than intelligence suggested. Chen allowed herself to be led away with the bridge crew, maintaining an appearance of shocked defeat. Through their neural links, Harrison's team shared observations about their captors' weapons, armor, and tactics. Every detail would be crucial for what was to come. As they were marched onto the alien vessel, Harrison caught Chen's subtle hand signal. Phase 1 was complete. Their captors believed they had acquired an easy prize, a seemingly primitive exploration vessel, and its helpless crew. They had no idea they'd just taken aboard 6 of humanity's most lethal special operators, equipped with technology far beyond what they'd displayed. The alien ship's massive doors sealed behind them with a resonant thud. In the holding cells, surrounded by their overconfident captors, the humans waited patiently. Years of training had taught them that victory often went not to the strongest or most advanced, but to those who could turn an enemy's assumptions against them. And right now, their captors were assuming quite a lot about humanity's capabilities. Commander Chen smiled inwardly as she caught Harrison's barely perceptible nod. The real mission was just beginning. The holding cells of the alien vessel thrummed with a low-frequency vibration that set human teeth on edge. Commander Chen had counted 36 hours since their capture, each minute spent gathering intelligence through the sophisticated sensors hidden within their seemingly primitive clothing. The neural interfaces they all carried were working overtime, collecting and processing data about their captors, whom they'd learned called themselves the Kryvax. Major Harrison sat in apparent meditation, his eyes closed but his enhanced senses mapping every detail of their prison. Through the neural network, his team shared a constant stream of observations. Dr. Wong's medical sensors had already compiled a detailed analysis of Kryvax biology, while Captain Walsh's passive scans had mapped most of the ship's electronic systems. Their overconfidence is almost amusing, Lieutenant Patel transmitted through their secure neural link. She sat in a corner, appearing to all observers as a defeated prisoner, while her augmented reality display mapped every guard rotation. They haven't even bothered to scan us for tech. Pride comes before the fall, Martins responded, his thoughts tinged with anticipation. Walsh, what's the status on their security systems? Walsh's mental signature carried the focus of deep concentration. Their tech is advanced, but predictable. They rely heavily on automated systems. More importantly, I've detected a fascinating vulnerability in their quantum encryption. They never considered that someone might approach it from a different mathematical framework. Commander Chen maintained her passive posture while processing the incoming data. The Kryvax were indeed technologically advanced, but their superiority had bred complacency. They categorized humans as primitive based on the deliberately outdated technology they'd displayed, never wondering why a species capable of interstellar travel would use such basic systems. Through the transparent barrier of their cell, they observed their captors going about their duties. The Kryvax moved with the assurance of apex predators, their chitinous armor gleaming under the ship's harsh lighting. Their language, a complex mixture of clicks and electromagnetic pulses, had already been partially decoded by their neural interfaces' advanced linguistics programs. They're taking us to something called the processing hub, Lieutenant Chen reported, his infiltration systems having decoded enough of their communications to build a basic picture. Seems to be a central facility where they evaluate new species for their potential as slave labor or trading commodities. Harrison's mental signature darkened at this information. How many other species? Based on their casual conversations, at least 12 currently held at the facility. Some have been enslaved for generations. Commander Chen processed this information with growing resolve. What had started as a defensive operation was evolving into something larger. Walsh, how far have you gotten with their database access? I've created a backdoor into their lower security systems. Give me another 12 hours, and I can probably reach their command protocols. They use an interesting quantum-based architecture, but it's built on assumptions that don't account for human approaches to mathematics. The team's neural network hummed with calculated planning. They weren't just planning an escape anymore. They were positioning themselves to strike a blow against an empire built on the exploitation of other species. The Kryvax's dismissal of humanity as primitive had given them unprecedented access and time to prepare. Dr. Wong's medical scans had revealed another crucial detail. Their neural systems are surprisingly vulnerable to certain frequencies. Their rigid hierarchical command structure is partially enforced through biological technology. Disrupt that, and we could throw their entire chain of command into chaos. Martinez's thoughts carried a hint of satisfaction. The demolition charges I've synthesized from our nutrient packets should work nicely with that information. Amazing what you can do with simple organic compounds when you understand molecular engineering. Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Kryvacs thought they were transporting defeated prisoners to their processing hub. Instead, they were carrying a precision strike team armed with humanity's most advanced technology and growing knowledge of their enemies' weaknesses. Lieutenant Patel, how long until we reach this hub? Based on their navigational data I've accessed, approximately 48 hours, Patel responded. They're taking a circuitous route to avoid something they call the restricted zones. Seems there's at least one species out there they're actually afraid of. Good, Chen transmitted. That gives us time to finish mapping their systems and formulate a detailed plan. Harrison, begin working on tactical scenarios. Wang, I want a complete analysis of their biological weaknesses. Walsh, focus on their command and control systems. Martinez, calculate precise demolition points for maximum effect with minimal structural damage. Patel, keep tracking their patrol patterns. Lieutenant Chen, dig deeper into their communications. I want to know everything about these restricted zones. The team acknowledged their orders with practiced efficiency. To the Kryvacs guards watching through the transparent barriers, they saw only defeated prisoners accepting their fate. They couldn't detect the complex plans being formed through the neural network, or the sophisticated analysis being performed by seemingly primitive beings. In their arrogance, the Kryvacs had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that humanity's visible technology represented the limits of their capabilities. They were about to learn that humans had perfected the art of hiding their true strength, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when that moment came, their entire empire would learn why underestimating humanity was a deadly mistake. The processing hub loomed before the Kryvacs transport ship, like a malevolent spider web stretching across the void. Massive crystalline structures extended from a central core, each branch housing thousands of captured beings from dozens of species. Commander Chen observed the approaching station through the holding cell's viewport, her neural interface recording every detail of its construction. Quite the operation they're running. Harrison transmitted through their secure network. Walsh, status on their command systems. Ready, Walsh replied, his thoughts carrying the precise focus of a master hacker. I've mapped their entire network architecture. They never considered that someone might approach quantum computing from a non-binary perspective. Their security is based on assumptions that don't apply to our technology. The Kryvacs guards remained oblivious to their prisoners' capabilities, still seeing only defeated humans awaiting processing. Their leader, Sub-Commander Krultex, approached the cell with the confident stride of a natural predator. Prepare for transfer, he announced in his artificially translated English, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Your species will make an excellent addition to our labor pools. Simple manual tasks seem appropriate for your limited capabilities. Lieutenant Patel suppressed a smile as she transmitted, all guard patrol patterns mapped and synchronized. They're exactly as predictable as we thought. Their entire security system relies on their belief in their superiority. Martinez, charges ready. Chen queried through the neural link. Better than ready, came the demolitions expert's confident response. I've synthesized some interesting compounds from our food supplies. Amazing what you can do with basic organic materials when you understand molecular engineering at the quantum level. Dr. Wang's medical sensors continued their passive scans as the guards approached. Their neural susceptibility to certain frequencies is confirmed. One targeted pulse should disrupt their entire command structure temporarily. The cell doors opened, and the team was led out in apparent submission. Through their neural interfaces, they shared a precise countdown. Everything had been calculated to the microsecond. Now, Chen commanded. The first sign that something was wrong came from the ship's quantum communication array. Walsh's carefully crafted code propagated through their systems like a digital tsunami, rewriting security protocols and scrambling command channels. Simultaneously, Dr. Wang activated a subsonic pulse, tuned to the exact frequency that would disrupt the Kryvacs' biological command structures. The effect was immediate and devastating. The guards stumbled, their hierarchical neural networks thrown into chaos by the precisely targeted interference. Before they could recover, Harrison's team moved with superhuman speed, their bodies responding to neural commands that bypassed normal human limitations. Lieutenant Chen ghosted through the corridors like a shadow, his infiltration training enhanced by technology that bent light around him. He reached the ship's main security center before the Kryvax even realized they were under attack. Martinez's synthesized charges detonated in precise locations, creating controlled chaos that herded the confused crew exactly where the team wanted them. Main engineering secured, Paddle reported, her enhanced strength and speed having made short work of the engineering crew's resistance. Their quantum drive technology is fascinating, very advanced, but they never thought to protect it against certain types of interference. Commander Chen moved through the ship like a force of nature, her neural interface coordinating the team's actions with millisecond precision. The Kryvax's sophisticated weapons proved useless against humans who could predict and react to their attacks before they were even initiated. "How does it feel?" she asked Sub-Commander Krultex as she efficiently disabled him. "To learn that your primitive captives have been playing you since the beginning." The Kryvax leader's mandibles clicked in confusion and fear. "Impossible. Your technology, your ship, was exactly what we wanted you to see," Chen explained, securing him with restraints fabricated from materials Martinez had synthesized. "Humanity learned long ago that true strength lies not in showing your power, but in knowing when to hide it." Through the ship's viewports, they could see other vessels in the convoy beginning to react to the situation. But it was too late. Walsh had already infected their quantum networks with algorithms that would cascade through their entire command structure. "Processing hub defenses are responding," Lieutenant Chen reported, his infiltration systems already probing the massive station's networks. "But they're dealing with the same vulnerabilities. Their entire empire is built on quantum encryption protocols that never considered non-binary approaches. Time to show them what humanity can really do," Harrison transmitted, his satisfaction evident through the neural link. "Walsh, initiate Protocol Thunderbolt." Throughout the Kryvax fleet, systems began to fail as Walsh's quantum algorithms rewrote their fundamental operating protocols. The processing hub's defenses went dark as commands were rerouted through human-controlled pathways. What had seemed like a simple prisoner transport was revealing itself to be the spear tip of a precisely planned infiltration. "Send the signal to command," Chen ordered, watching as the mighty Kryvax Empire began to understand just how badly they had underestimated their human captives. "Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The hub is about to learn why assuming technological superiority without proper analysis is a fatal mistake." The processing hub loomed before them, its crystalline structures now seeming less imposing as humanity's true capabilities were unleashed. The revolution was about to begin, led by the very primitives the Kryvax had dismissed as insignificant. And through it all, Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile, knowing that this was just the beginning of humanity's revelation to the galaxy. The processing hub's central command center was a testament to Kryvax arrogance, vast, ornate, and now completely under human control. Commander Chen stood at its heart, surrounded by holographic displays showing the status of the entire facility. Throughout the station, imprisoned species were being freed while Walsh's algorithms kept the Kryvax security forces trapped in their own quarters. "Status report," Chen commanded through the neural network. 17 different species liberated from the detention levels, Dr. Wang reported, her medical sensors cataloging the diverse biological signatures. "Some of them have been here for generations." The Kryvax weren't just running a slave operation. They were conducting long-term biological experiments. Lieutenant Patel's voice carried a note of concern as she transmitted from the hub's quantum communications center. "Commander, you need to see this. I've broken into their restricted archives, and it's not good." The data that flowed through their neural network painted a disturbing picture. The Kryvax Empire, for all its apparent strength, was itself running from something. The mysterious restricted zones they detected earlier weren't areas the Kryvax were avoiding. They were quarantine zones containing something far worse. "Pull it up on the main display," Harrison ordered, his enhanced vision scanning through the incoming data streams. The holographic projection filled the command center with images that made even the seasoned Special Forces team pause. The Harvesters, as the Kryvax called them, were unlike anything humanity had encountered. Massive biomechanical entities that consumed entire solar systems, converting all matter and energy into more of themselves. The Kryvax Empire hadn't expanded through pure aggression. They'd been desperately gathering resources and slave labor to build defenses against this existential threat. That's why their quantum technology focused so heavily on communication and control, Walsh realized, his analysis programs racing through the new information. They weren't just building an empire. They were trying to create a unified defense network across multiple species. Lieutenant Chen's infiltration systems had already begun decoding the encrypted portions of the archive. The Harvesters are approaching this sector. The Kryvax estimated we had decades, but these calculations were based on flawed assumptions. According to this data, we have months at best. Commander Chen absorbed the information with the calculated calm of a veteran strategist. "Martinez, what's the status of the freed species?" "Mixed reactions," the demolitions expert reported from the detention levels. "Some want immediate revenge on the Kryvax. Others are too traumatized to do much of anything. But a few of the species show real potential. They've maintained their military knowledge despite generations of captivity." A new signal caught Walsh's attention. "Commander, we're detecting massive quantum disturbances at the edge of the system." The patterns matched the archive data on Harvester activity. Through the command center's vast windows, space itself seemed to distort as multiple vessels larger than anything in the Kryvax fleet emerged from quantum space. Their biomechanical forms defied conventional physics, each one a city-sized mass of living metal and energy. "They've detected the quantum disruptions from our takeover," Patil announced, her hands flying over the hub's communication controls. "We didn't just reveal ourselves to the Kryvax. We lit up a beacon for the Harvesters." Sub-Commander Krultex, still secured but now watching the displays with growing horror, clicked his mandibles in a pattern Chen's neural interface translated as desperate fear. "You don't understand what you've done. Our systems, our controls, they were all designed to keep us hidden from them. By breaking our quantum networks, you've exposed this entire sector." Chen's mind raced through scenarios, analyzing options with the help of her enhanced cognitive systems. The Kryvax Empire, for all its faults, had created an elaborate defense network. Their enslavement of other species was driven not just by greed, but by desperate survival instinct. "Harrison, coordinate with the liberated species. Find out which ones still maintain military capabilities. Walsh, see if you can adapt our quantum interference protocols to affect the Harvester ships. Wong, I need analysis of their biomechanical systems. Find me weaknesses. Martinez, start converting those demolition charges into larger weapons. Patel, get our quantum communications back online, but on different frequencies. Chen, infiltrate what's left of the Kryvax command structure. We're going to need their cooperation." The team acknowledged their orders as the massive Harvester vessels drew closer. On the detention levels, former slaves and captors alike watched in growing fear as the true threat revealed itself. The recently freed species faced a choice between their newfound liberty and survival itself. To all Kryvax forces, Chen broadcast across the hub's communication systems, her words automatically translated into multiple languages. "Your empire's crimes against other species cannot be forgotten or forgiven. But right now, we face extinction itself. Humanity has proven we can overcome your best defenses. Now we offer you a choice. Work with us as equals to face this threat, or watch as your empire becomes nothing more than food for the Harvesters." Through the neural network, her team shared a grim determination. They had come here to free enslaved species and punish their captors. Instead, they found themselves at the center of a war for survival against an enemy that threatened not just humanity or the Kryvax, but all sentient life in the galaxy. The harvesters approached, their massive forms blocking out the stars themselves. In the command center, humans and Kryvax watched together as the true scale of their challenge became clear. Victory would require not just human ingenuity or Kryvax technology, but cooperation between all species, former slaves and masters united against extinction itself. The processing hub's command center had transformed into an impromptu war room, where once Kryvax overseers had monitored slave labor. Now representatives from 18 different species gathered around holographic displays, unified by the approaching threat. Commander Chen stood at the center, her neural interface processing tactical data from multiple sources simultaneously. The harvesters have surrounded the system, Lieutenant Puddle reported, her fingers dancing across the quantum communications array. Their biomechanical ships are unlike anything we've seen. They're not just vessels. They're part of a single, massive organism. Dr. Wang's medical analysis streamed through the neural network. Their biology is fascinating and terrifying. They don't just consume matter. They absorb information, technology, even consciousness itself. Each ship contains the absorbed memories of countless civilizations they've destroyed. The Kryvax sub-commander Kreltex, now working alongside his former prisoners, clicked his mandibles in agreement. This is why we built our empire. We knew we couldn't fight them alone. Every species we acquired was meant to contribute to our defense network. A noble goal, Harrison transmitted through the secure channel, corrupted by fear and arrogance. You could have asked for allies instead of making slaves. Walsh's voice cut through the discussion. Contact. The first harvester vessel is initiating its consumption sequence. Their quantum field is extraordinary. They're not just breaking physics, they're rewriting it locally. Through the vast windows of the command center, they watched as the nearest harvester ship extended massive tendrils of living metal toward one of the hub's outer arms. Where the tendrils touched, matter itself began to dissolve, being reformed into more of the harvester's biomechanical mass. Martinez, status on those adapted demolition charges? Chen demanded. Ready, but with a twist. The demolitions expert replied. I've been working with some of the freed Centaurian engineers. Their crystal technology combined with our quantum understanding has produced something new. We can't destroy the harvesters directly, but we might be able to disrupt their consciousness network. Lieutenant Chen's infiltration systems had already mapped the harvesters' communication patterns. They operate like a quantum hive mind. Each ship is individual but connected. If we can disrupt that connection, we can turn their greatest strength into a weakness. Commander Chen finished. Walsh, can you adapt your quantum interference protocols to work with Martinez's devices? Already on it, Walsh confirmed. The Kryvax quantum networks were based on similar principles, just less advanced, with the Centaurian crystals acting as amplifiers. The hub shuddered as another harvester vessel joined the attack. Throughout the station, former slaves and masters worked together, preparing defenses and evacuating vulnerable areas. The freed species had quickly realized that their recent liberation would mean nothing if the harvesters couldn't be stopped. All teams, execute Operation Sunbreak, Chen commanded. Across the hub, carefully placed quantum disruptors activated simultaneously. The devices, combining human neural technology, Kryvax quantum engineering, and Centaurian crystal matrices, generated a cascading wave of interference that targeted the harvester's consciousness network. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The massive biomechanical ships recoiled as their shared consciousness was suddenly fragmented. Individual vessels, cut off from the hive mind for the first time in their existence, began to move erratically. It's working, Paddle reported excitedly. Their quantum field is destabilizing. The consciousness network is. Her words were cut off as one of the harvester ships, acting independently in its confusion, slammed into another. The resulting explosion of quantum energy rippled through space-time itself, creating distortions that threatened to tear the hub apart. Structural integrity failing in sections 7 through 12, Martins reported. The quantum backlash is more than we anticipated. Emergency protocols activated, Wong announced, her medical systems already treating casualties from the growing chaos. But the harvesters are adapting. They're attempting to reconfigure their network to resist our interference. Commander Chen watched as the massive vessels began to recover, their biomechanical forms shifting and evolving in response to the attack. But she noticed something else, a pattern in their movements that suggested vulnerability. They're not just confused, she realized. They're afraid. For the first time in their existence, they're experiencing individual consciousness. Walsh, modify the quantum interference pattern. Don't try to block their network. Fragment it. Force each ship to remain individual. The modified attack had an unexpected effect. Instead of trying to reconnect their network, the harvester ships began to retreat. Without their shared consciousness, the concept of individual existence was too alien, too frightening for them to handle. They're running, Harrison observed with satisfaction. Humanity didn't just find a way to fight them. We gave them an entirely new perspective on existence. As the harvester fleet disappeared into quantum space, the gathered species in the command center began to realize the full implications of what had happened. Humanity had not only freed them from Kryvak's control, but had also shown them a way to defeat what they had thought was an unstoppable enemy. This is only the beginning, Chen addressed the assembled representatives. The harvesters will return, probably with new defenses, but now we know they can be fought. Not through dominance or control, but through cooperation and innovation. Sub-Commander Krultex approached her, his posture showing newfound respect. We were wrong about humanity. We saw your apparent technological limitations and assumed primitiveness. Instead, you showed us that true advancement comes not from subjugating others, but from working together as equals. The processing hub, once a symbol of oppression, was transforming into something new. A center for cooperation and resistance against a common threat. Former slaves and masters began working together, sharing knowledge and technology that had been hoarded for generations. Through their neural network, Chen's team shared a moment of quiet satisfaction. They had come to free slaves and punish oppressors, but they had achieved something far greater. They had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their hidden technology or military prowess, but their ability to adapt, innovate, and bring others together for a common cause. As the hub's quantum communications began broadcasting a message of unity and resistance to other sectors, Shan allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy was changing, and humanity would help lead the way, not through force or dominance, but through cooperation and shared purpose. The real victory wasn't just surviving the harvesters. It was showing that different species could work together as equals when faced with a common threat. The war wasn't over, it was just beginning. But now, instead of facing it alone, they would face it together, stronger for their differences and united in their determination to survive and thrive among the stars.